Robbers have always existed. Ancient Rome was no exception. During internal crises or protracted wars on the roads of the mighty empire, travelers risked to meet bloodthirsty hunters for easy profit and pay with their lives for their wallet or belongings. However, not all bandits were guided only by mercantile interests. There were also noble criminals who practiced robbery with a human face, long before the stories of the famous Robin Hood. One of them was an Italian, Bulla Felix, whose story has come down to our days thanks to Dion Cassius Roman History. As in any society, there was common crime in the Roman Republic and Empire. There were thieves in the markets, highwaymen on the roads. Some openly opposed the gods. Slaves ran away from their masters and formed gangs, which often became the core of real armies of slaves. Violators of the law were also at sea. The famous opponent of Gaius Julius Caesar, Pompey, became famous throughout the Republic thanks to the fight against Cilician pirates. Crime did not arise from a good life. Most often on the path of lawlessness stepped poor people, deprived of the opportunity to earn an honest living. No less common were corrupt officials or senators who used their official position for personal enrichment. These problems became especially acute in times of political instability, such as during the reign of Septimius Severus at the turn of the 2nd or 3rd centuries. It was then that Bulla Felix was active in northern Italy. About his adventures are known only from one source, a rather lengthy and emotional description of the deeds of the Roman Robin Hood left the historian Dion Cassius. It is not known who was Bulla and where he came from in Italy. In all likelihood, he was a local resident who knew his native region well, and also received a decent education for his time. The era of Emperor Septimius Severus was a time of endless wars both at home and on the far frontiers. It is not surprising then that bands of brigands could appear on the roads, taking advantage of the weakness of the central government. Cassius, however, focused specifically on the personality of Bulla. He vividly described how the resourceful bandit, using his knowledge of the terrain and extensive spy network, which speaks volumes about the mood of the population, attacked Roman officials and even initiated skirmishes with the troops sent to capture him. There is a curious story of how Bulla captured a centurion fighting a band of brigands. Presenting himself as a man who would lead the Roman to the bandits, Felix simply took him prisoner, but did not kill him. On the contrary, he imitated a trial, shaved part of the head of the hapless official, and then released him with the words, "Tell your masters, let them feed their slaves so that they do not turn to robbery." In general, Bulla Felix seemed to mock the emperor. His squad numbered 600 people, and he called his friends senators. In the Senate sat the same number of people, and the name of the robber for contemporaries contained enough references. On the one hand, the word Bulla meant a protective amulet. On the other hand, very reminiscent of the name of one of the Roman dictators, Sulla, whose activities preferred to keep silent. Felix, bringing good luck. A nickname that referred to the emperors and generals, whose activities delighted the subjects. Bull Felix robbed not for profit. He often distributed the funds from raids to poor people in northern Italy or used them to evade prosecution by the authorities. Some scholars argue that Dion Cassius told about the robber in order to criticize Septimius Severus and the imperial administration, to show them that the emperor of the people, who treated people with respect and helped them in every possible way, was a man more worthy than the Roman patricians. Bulla Felix wielded in northern Italy for 2 years. Septimius Severus was sufficiently informed about what is going on inside his state. Arrogance and insolence brigands spoiled a lot of blood emperor, but Bulla managed every time to elude detachments of pursuers. Cassius wrote, "Although he was chased by many people and the north itself wanted him, he remained unrecognized, even when he was recognized, not found when he was found, not seized when he was captured, and all this thanks to his generous bribes and dodging. In the end, the outlaw was ruined by a woman." Bulla Felix had a secret relationship with the wife of a Roman aristocrat. Somehow the emperor's tribune, who was tasked to deal with the bandit once and for all, learned of this relationship. With the help of blackmail, promising the woman to spare her from punishment for adultery in exchange for cooperation, he was able to reach Bull Felix and arrest him sleeping in a cave. The brigand was brought to Rome and a trial was organized. Even while in the hands of the authorities, Bulla Felix continued to defy authority. When asked by the prefect Aemilius Papinianus, "Why did you become a brigand?" he replied, "And why did you become a prefect?" However, it is unlikely that such a dialogue actually took place. Stories with similar lines can be found in the biography of Alexander the Great and in the story of the historian Tacitus about the slave Clement, who lived during the reign of Emperor Tiberius. In the end, Bulla Felix was thrown to the wild beasts, after which his gang disintegrated on its own. Did Bulla Felix exist in reality? An exhaustive answer to this question we are unlikely to ever know. It is safe to say that the prototype of this hero did exist. The historian Dion Cassius used the story of the elusive and boastful bandit to show how morally bankrupt the imperial administration was.